Crumpet. Espresso. Crumpet. Espresso.
You heard him. The show's got a name now. Crumpet Espresso, your weekend preview of everything in the Soccer Over There universe. I'm Jason Longshore. I'm one of the hosts of Soccer Over There, along with John Nelson, along with Nick Alifi, along with Jessica Charman. Everybody's going to contribute to this wraparound weekend preview ahead of the weekend that starts October 25th, and it started in a very, very rough way for Southampton. Ralph Hasenhüttl might be on the brink of getting a pink slip as his side fell 9-0 to Leicester. Leicester City, 9-0. That is a equaling of a Premier League record for margin of victory. Manchester United had that one from a couple decades ago. Now Brendan Rodgers has equaled it with Leicester, and reportedly Rodgers told his team at halftime to punish Southampton. Well, they pretty much did. A penalty deep in stoppage time was converted by Jamie Vardy. That gave him a hat trick and made the score 9-0. We'll keep an eye on that news, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this one and everything else that happens this weekend on Soccer Over There. Mondays, 6 to 8 p.m. We do the show live from the Brewhouse Cafe, Atlanta's original soccer bar. It's in the little 5 Points neighborhood of Atlanta. Come check us out if you're in the area. Hop on a mic, talk some smack about your favorite team, about your favorite league, things that are bothering you about the game, things that you're happy about the game. We like both. We like all of the good and bad about the game, and we try to cover as many different aspects as we can on Soccer Over There. You can always contribute to the show by tweeting at us at Soc Over There, SOC Over There on Twitter. You can also tweet at the network at Soccer Down Here. And if you're looking for a place to watch the Premier League, to watch the Championship, to watch Serie A, to watch La Liga, to watch the Bundesliga, to watch the Argentine Superliga, to watch the Colombian First Division, to watch the MLS playoffs that will be back in action next week. Anything soccer related, you want to watch it, you can go see that at the Brewhouse on one of their 5,732 televisions, according to Nick Alifi. We'll hear from Nick about his beloved Milan and Serie A in just a bit, but we're going to kick things off today with a little trip to England from John Nelson.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Now I guess it's time for me to give what I think about what's going on. Usually when Jess and I have our segment, we kind of talk about what's going on in the Premier League. So what I was going to do to kind of make things a little different was, I don't know, let's see what Halloween candy we can put on things. And start with the action on Saturday. Manchester City and Aston Villa. Manchester City minus 1,100. Not going to touch it. Brighton and Everton. This one they think might be leaning toward the draw. Brighton at plus 190, and it really depends on which Brighton team shows up. And Everton plus 150, the draw plus 225. So if you're looking at either team and you can get the draw option, that's where I would go. I just don't know what Brighton team is going to show up, frankly. But I am looking at a draw there. Watford and Bournemouth. And a lot of folks are looking at this one as another draw option as well. I think Bournemouth gets the win. I just think that Watford, by the end of everything, they're going to be in the relegation fight, and it's going to be a long year for Javi Gracia and with Watford. West Ham, Sheffield United. They think this one might be a draw, too, considering what happened with Sheffield United and Arsenal late last match week with their win at Bramall Lane against Arsenal. I think they keep the momentum going, but I think they get a point. Burnley and Chelsea. Chelsea minus 138. The one thing that might concern me here, Burnley's at plus 333 to win, but I think that Chelsea coming back from their European football in midweek, that might be a bit of a problem. So might be the chance for Burnley to get things done. On Newcastle and Wolves, it's got to be Wolves. Newcastle for me is a relegation favorite. Arsenal and Crystal Palace. Arsenal, once again, playing with what they ended up doing with Sheffield United. I'm leaning Crystal Palace here to get a point. Liverpool and Tottenham. Tottenham's a mess, so let's go with Liverpool there. Norwich and Manchester United. Manchester United listed at minus 134. I think that one might get a little sideways, but that's just me. But that's just me thinking out loud when it comes to that particular match. That one might be a little weird, so I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. In the championship, let's see if there's anything that really does strike my fancy. Not really. A bunch of draws I'm looking at. A bunch of even money games. Swansea and Cardiff, that's an interesting battle with the two Welsh teams going at it. They're thinking that one's going to be a draw. Really only one prohibitive favorite over the weekend, and it's West Brom at minus 225. So a lot of draws maybe when it comes to the activity in the championship. And when you look at League One, quickly, a couple of prohibitive favorites there. Ipswich at minus 188. Kate Riley of CNN will be happy about that one. And speaking somewhat selfishly here, trying to see if AFC Wimbledon is at it. Sunderland is at plus 130 for anybody interested there. And Fleetwood Town minus 163. So there's a couple of favorites that might be worth putting some Snickers on. You're looking at League One. And that's how we'll go with that. Scotland in the Premiership. You've got the four matches, and then you have Aberdeen and Celtic. Celtic minus 300 and Rangers at minus 550 going up against Motherwell. So that's a quick look at all of the Halloween candy action when it comes to Scotland, the Premiership, and with what's going on in the Premier League as well. That's my run of what's going on in juice boxes when it comes to Crumpets and Espresso, and I dealt specifically with the Crumpets side. So we'll all be back as a unit next week. Jason, it's all yours. Maybe go to commercial, maybe take it over. Talk to you in a sec.
Crumpet Espresso.
The things you learn on a random Friday on Reddit, and specifically the subreddit for soccer. Arnold Schwarzenegger says he supports Liverpool. And his quote, "Sometimes, and I don't know why, they lose some stupid games. Then they come right back again. When they say, 'I'll be back,' they are back." Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Liverpool fan. I guess he also would be singing You'll Never Walk Alone. I'd like to see a video of that at some point. Maybe Jessica Charman has some updates on the Arnold Schwarzenegger situation as a Liverpool fan that we did not know about until now. Let's see what Jess is thinking.
Hello, and welcome back to Crumpets and Espresso. Time for the hot take from the queen of the crumpets, myself, at Jess Talks Footy. So it was a great return of the Premier League last week after the international break. Kind of get frustrated during those international breaks because my passion, I'm glad England's doing well, but I prefer the domestic side of things. Man City this week have a chance to close the gap on Liverpool when they face Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa are coming off a really good streak. They haven't lost since September the 22nd. That's over a month ago. And in that loss, it was a 3-2 narrow one versus Arsenal. So I don't see them being a pushover for the Sky Blues. However, when you look at Man City, they've got Raheem Sterling, and Raheem Sterling has been unbelievable. I talked about the international break, and Sterling has been making England proud. In the 2019-20 season so far between Man City and international duty, there's been 16 games. He scored 13 goals and had 7 assists during that period. That's just insane. Absolutely insane. Liverpool are the other team really looking at the title chase right now. When you looked ahead to a schedule like this, Liverpool versus Spurs, before the season started, you might have been expecting this to be a bit of a title crunch. Or Spurs were one of those clubs where a lot of people thought maybe this might be their year. Well, they've been considerably underwhelming so far, and they're in 7th right now on 12 points, but there's a bunch of other teams, I think all the way down to 11th, have 12 points. So Spurs really right now struggling to even stay in the top half, and their draw against Watford kind of flattered them as well. They've got some worries. Unless something changes on Sunday, it could be a real hard watch for Spurs fans, and the Reds will, as they say, keep marching on. And the last focus for me this week when it comes to the Premier League is Man United versus Norwich. So I watched the Man United game last weekend, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised. I thought Man U looked a million times better than I'd seen previously of them this season. And under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in this difficult stage that's come, it looks like maybe things are looking up for the Red Devils. We'll see. Norwich City was one of those clubs beforehand. I spoke to Jason Longshore on the season preview before the season began, and I thought Norwich were going to be a tough one. Maybe even they were going to stay up. I liked the style of play. They had some good individual players like Pukki, but right now they're kind of on a really negative demise. They've only picked up 1 point out of a possible 12, and their last win was that big win against Man City. So can they become the sort of nemesis of the Manchester teams? Will they give both Manchester sides a real struggle this season? Who knows? Now, let's be honest, guys. It wouldn't be me without the obvious plug to my Royals in the Championship. Everyone knows I'm a die-hard Reading FC fan. If you've followed my tweets, you'll know that I was, quite frankly, a little bit bothered by the sacking of Jose Gomez. I thought it was unfair, a little untimely, and I found it very, very strange that the guy that probably had a saying in his departure then became the manager despite never having any first-team managerial experience. He's never actually been the big boss. But Bowen, I have to eat my words temporarily for a little bit, because in his first 2 games, Reading has been unbeaten and they're looking really good. Finally, ESPN Plus showed a Reading game. It'd been a long time coming, and I enjoyed watching it against QPR. We were the better side, dare I say it. The Battle of the Hoops, always a big one in Berkshire. And right now, I'm liking the way that Reading FC is playing. And, you know, it's only 2 games in, it's early, but who knows? Next up, 8th place, Nottingham Forest. That's going to be a tough one, but here's to hoping he does well. Look, I still think he's a bit of a snake. I think it's a bit snakish, but at the end of the day, football, soccer, it's a results-driven business, and if we're picking up results, then I'll be happy. So, you know, start looking at the Championship games. If you watch a lot of Premier League, why not dip down to the Championship? They call it the most important league in football in some ways, because promotion leads to the Premier League, and that's where the big dollars are at. So why not look at ESPN Plus or sometimes NBCSN? They have games from lower divisions, and it's fun to watch. And dare I say it, the standard is pretty good too. That obvious plug to the Championship and following the Royals, Reading FC. That will end it for me today on this week's Crumpets and Espresso. Remember to follow me at JessTalksFooty, that's FOOTIE, for more soccer/football. I use them interchangeably. Hot takes. Thanks for listening.
Espresso.
Crumpet.
Thanks,
Jess.
And can we just stick with espresso and crumpets? Can we just get matching tattoos of that now? Is that possible? I think we should do that. I think that works. Anyway, guys, it's Nick the Garlic Bread Warlord. Thank you so much for tuning in to Espresso and Crumpets. It's our it's our own little thing to kind of get you guys ready for the weekend. I'm going to start off in This Week in Racism, where Lazio played Celtic, and Lazio supporters went through the streets before the Celtic game and started kicking fascist salutes, otherwise known as Nazi salutes, where people caught it on camera and then put it up on social media, and as social media does, it went viral. And now, yet again, Lazio has cast the burning eyes of the world upon Serie A. I just don't know what to do, John. I really don't know what to do here. So we're just going to move on. There it is. There's your report of This Week in Racism, sponsored by Serie A. Other things of note in Serie A this week. Sunday, that will be October 27th. Okay, you guys ready for this? Roma versus Milan. This is going to be the first real test of the Pioli era for AC Milan. Now, there's rumors circulating that Christoph Piontek could be offered to Chelsea once they get past that nasty little transfer ban. Now, currently valuation has him around $35 million. So it would be almost a break-even to slight loss for AC Milan to get this deal done. But I think it's a move they have to make because they are so far behind when it comes to financial fair play. They are so deep in the red that they have to start making moves. And the Elliott Fund says they don't care. They're moving forward. They're just going to keep buying players. So there's going to be no European competition to speak of for the foreseeable future. I don't know how they plan to do this. Good luck to them. But Roma versus Milan, that's at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Now, we also have Inter versus Parma. That's going to be sneaky. That's on Saturday at noon. I think it's sneaky because Parma can be a team that can be dangerous. So Inter will have their hands full. Keep in mind that at the moment, Juve clear by 1 point at the top of the table. So for right now, it's Juve, Inter, Atalanta, Napoli, and I will go ahead and throw this in about Napoli. There's a lot of smoke circulating about one Mr. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yes, the same guy who was grabbing himself gratuitously toward LAFC fans. Yeah, that he could be making a return back to Serie A. Keep in mind that he has played for Juve, Inter, and Milan. He wants to go back to a team where he can allegedly play in front of 80+ thousand people. Well, you're not going to get that in Napoli, but you will get that at San Siro when Inter rolls, when you roll into play Inter. But look, there's a lot of smoke to this, but I mean, the guy's like 38 years old. I really don't know how much he can offer. If you want to do him for a late season loan to try, not a loan, but a late season buy where maybe you start him just a handful of times. Yeah, sure, I think you can get some value there, but I really don't think you're going to be starting him day in and day out. You use him to play in Serie A, not in the Champions League, and you just let it roll and just try to maintain that top four. I think it's something where if De Laurentiis can make that happen, then it's good for Zlatan, but it's going to be bad for MLS. Just because Zlatan will not shut his mouth about the quality of the league. It's part of the process. If you sell your soul to bring in one of these aging players who thinks that he has a bit of spark left at the international level, this is what you're going to get. The same thing happened with David Beckham whenever he was doing his loan spells with AC Milan. When he was with his parent club was the Galaxy, and you saw what happened where essentially his leg decided to self-destruct mid-game. So Zlatan, I think he has a little bit left in the tank, but not enough to do a long-term contract. So he may get a contract that says 2 years. No, this is going to be about a half year's worth of usage out of Mr. Zlatan. Zlatan is the greatest. Zlatan scores all the goals. Anyway, moving on to La Liga. My pick of the week for La Liga is going to be Atletico Madrid versus Bilbao. I think that's going to be an absolutely fun game. That's tomorrow, 3 p.m. So make sure you get your Fanatis or your Fubo, whoever is providing BN Sports. I think there's like maybe 1.5 people out there still providing their games to the world. So get yourself some BN access and get a hold of Madrid Atletico style to Bilbao. Throw them in there. Make it happen. All right? That's my... outside of that, not really seeing a lot of La Liga this weekend that makes it that exciting. Ligue 1, meanwhile, if you wish to partake in Ligue 1, I will say PSG versus Marseille. That's my game of the week. That's Sunday at 4 p.m. That should be a pretty competitive match. But here's where it's going to be very exciting, and that's going to be down at Argentina where the wind blows. That's going to be River Plate versus Colón and Lanús versus Boca Juniors. And I will go ahead and say that the pressure is really on Boca right now. Keep in mind that their manager has said that he is done. After the season, he's done. Now, whether or not he actually makes it to the end of the season, that's a different animal entirely. But after getting knocked out of Copa Libertadores by the arch rivals River Plate on their own turf, can they bounce back? That's going to be the key thing. Keep in mind, Lanús is no pushover. They're third in the table. So there's a little something there for all of you guys. And if you were wondering, that will be on Halloween. All right? That's on Halloween, 8:20 p.m. All right? Keep that in mind. So outside of that, again, River Plate versus Colón. That's going to be on Tuesday at 8:20. So there's a lot of opportunity here for you to get your games in through the weekend and going into the week. That's why Argentina is so great, because they play nonstop. So you have games on Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's say you have nothing going on Wednesday. You want to see what's happening in Argentina. Well, my friends, you have San Lorenzo versus Defensa y Justicia, my favorite team, and also Unión versus Independiente. So those are the games on Wednesday at 4 p.m. and 6:10 p.m., respectively. So dial in, get your Fanatis, get your subscriptions, get whatever you need to get. Those are my picks of the week. See you guys later. Mucho Euro, y'all.
Espresso.
Crumpet